She said we can't record it today.
Whenever you're ready. Yeah,
Do I still have a picture there?
you still are. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. I would have to move it just that much, but pretty much if you stay right there, you're in the frame.
Hey, look, it's a nice big old fire over here. That's a good idea for this nice chilly day. Let me go over there and get warmed up. What's that smell? What do I hear? Someone's yelling. Who's yelling? You look around and there's nobody yelling. But everybody's looking at the fire. Turns out there's two men tied to a stake and they're in the middle of the fire burning and yelling. This was the demise of Jacques de Molay, the last Grand Master of the Knights Templar. Wow. Now, why was he burned at the stake? Because the king decided to do that one day, but we'll get to that later. Was he really guilty or not? Well, he was charged with defending Christendom as the Order of Knights Templar, and here he is being charged with heresy and other acts not good for Christians. De Molay may be a word that some of you may have heard in the past. There's an organization currently today called De Molay International. It is designed for and set up for young men and boys that may have lost their fathers during World War I, because this was set up in 1919. The whole idea was you'd give some guidance to these young men this type, like you hear of the Boys Club today. Well, this was started by a Freemason in Kansas City. And they chose the name de Molay because of what this man stood for in his life at the end of the Templars. When I was a teen, I was a member of de Molay for a short while, and there were some interesting things about it. I won't go into that part of it too much, but I do remember that was the first time I wore a tie, and that didn't turn me off of the organization, but it was like you knew it was that day. So I'm going to talk a little more about de Molay, his rise to being a Grand Master, what he tried to do as a Grand Master, and his claim to fame being the last Grand Master of the Knights Templar. So anybody heard of the Knights Templar? Good. Connected to Freemasons? Heard that? That's getting pretty popular right here. Okay. Jacques de Molay made it to the top of that profession as a very powerful man. Being the top of the Templars was to be powerful, but greed, jealousy, a power-hungry king, and the Pope changed that overnight. Some of his early life is not really much known because this was a long time ago. He was said to be born in 1244 in Burgundy, which is at the time part of the Holy Roman Empire. That's how long ago it was, and which is now in northwestern France. His family was most likely of minor or middle nobility, meaning not too much stature, but it was enough for him to get some training in the art of being a knight, how to fight in those days. So in 1270, I'm sorry, a little bit before that, he, at 1265, at the age of 21, he joined the Knights Templar. He was knighted. At the time, part of this was like, okay, what do I do with my life? Well, to help protect his family, he joined the order, which gave his family prestige to keep their land. Because in the next 20 years, he didn't see his land anymore. He was what the order doing, what the order wanted, over fighting, protecting, and so on. During this 20 years, there's not much known about him specifically, up until the point of time of the battles that he gets to be Grand Master. Over there by Jerusalem, you know where that is, hopefully, there is a little town on the coast called Acre. That's how I pronounce it, but that's how it's spelled. The Templars and Jacques de Molay was charged with protecting that route. Well, they lost the battle so that, and they had to retreat to Cyprus. There's an island off there, and at this point he goes, hey, you know, I've been doing this for 20 years. I can be the Grand Master. Well, the other Grand Master died, supposedly, and he got elected. He became the Grand Master. Meanwhile, though, since the Crusades and so on have been going on for a couple of years, some support has been waning. So what's he, first thing you do is he leaves Cyprus, travels for years, checking out all the kings and all the way to the King of England, the princes, all these little areas, try to get more support for the Knights Templar and the Crusades. Because he wanted to heal. Hey, I've been doing this all my life. I'm supposed to go and protect the Christians' route to go to Jerusalem. Well, he didn't get much support for various reasons. One, because the King of France, also known as Philip the Fair, great name, he was fighting the English and he borrowed money from the Templars, and the King of France also had, King Philip I should say, King Philip had a little problem with, I want to be in charge of everything, including the Pope. So he's busy politicking to be in charge of everything. Jacques de Molay is busy walking around all of Europe trying to politic for his causes. Well, there's a clash here, because also the popes are trying. King Philip actually tried to raise money by taxing the clergy. The Pope actually tried to excommunicate him. And then King Philip said, well, how about if I kidnap the Pope? And then he died shortly after that. He poisoned the next Pope, and then he got the next Pope to be his own guy from France. So now King Philip has the main supporter of Jacques de Molay on his side. So later on, Jacques de Molay goes back to Cyprus, and then he's called up and say, hey, you need to come back to France, you need to talk about these crusades. He goes, okay, I better go back. They sound interested. Well, they weren't really interested. They just wanted to set him up for an arrest. They claimed improprieties against the church. It's kind of strange because they're defending the church, but they're accused of doing things like trampling the cross, other heretic things. I could get into some pretty other ones that were pretty strange, but they just, needless to say, made a lot of accusations. And on Friday the 13th, 1307, all the Templars in France were arrested at the same time. So this, remember, this didn't have telephones in the day. It took time to plan this and execute this plan. So they're all thrown in prison. He went through many, many trials. Well, before he was tried, he was tortured. Torture is in the New Faith. It only took a week for them to get a confession out of him. Yes, I did all this stuff. I did all this stuff. Well, later on, when the Pope sent some cardinals over to investigate it, he told the cardinals, no, that's not true. I only said that because they were torturing me. We don't do those type of things. So between the Pope and the King and so on, back and forth, a lot of people said, well, what should we do with these guys? Well, he stayed in prison the whole time, and sometimes he would say, okay, yes, I did this. Other times he would say, no, I didn't. Well, finally, the King of France decided, well, let's make a new law. If you confess and then later retract your confession, you'll be put to death. Make sense? Well, that's the kind of power the King of France wanted and had and put over people back then. So one more time, he decided, hey, I didn't do this. He got the king mad. He said, burn them tonight. And this is the bonfire we were at. He just grabbed him and this other guy that said, I stand with them. And they got burned that night. One of the last things he said on his last recantation, last retraction, I didn't do all this. We only did it to save our lives. The order was pure. The order was honorable, defending the church at all times. We only did it to save our lives. That's what we're guilty of, is just that we confess to save our lives. Who would be burned at the stake today with this kind of attitude? What kind of people today? Lehman Brothers CEO? You got an idea? Heard of them? Goldman Sachs? Some of these big corporate CEOs are getting this type of treatment today, but fortunately, we're not still at that burn at the stake.